Welcome in, NFL fans. We are 6 weeks into the season and we already have a handful of head coaches on the hot seat. Some may surprise you. Before this video starts, let me know who your head coach is and is he on the hot seat down in the comments. Starting with our first head coach on the list, we have Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns. He currently has a 1-5 record, 95 points scored, 27th in the NFL. That's absolutely terrible. 142 points allowed, 20th in the NFL. Yards allowed average 333 per game, 15th in the NFL, and 25th ranked O-line, coming off a loss to the Eagles, in which it really wasn't a crazy game. The Eagles really kept them in it the whole time. I think the final score, off top of my head, can't remember, 16-20, something like that. This team really didn't lose a lot in the offseason, right? I think they might have lost the least amount of players in the offseason out of any other team in the NFL. And I want to say it was just one player, and it might have been a special teams guy. I can't remember completely. I feel like this team doesn't have too many injuries. Nick Chubb's coming back soon. The run game is kind of getting decimated a little bit. I feel like all their O linemen are okay. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. The defense isn't terribly injured that I know about. I just feel like the way this team regressed, I mean, last year you went from a backup quarterback to a backup quarterback. You had a lot of quarterbacks in rotation and they still seem to get it done. I feel like the defense should be playing better. I feel like the offense should be playing better. I feel like this team is kind of eternally falling apart. Amari Cooper doesn't seem to want to be there. I feel like Kevin Stefanski is kind of losing the locker room. Personally, I feel like I could see the Browns absolutely making a change very soon. Now, is it going to be a head coach? Is it going to be a quarterback? Is it going to be a coordinator? I don't know, but something is going to have to change for the Cleveland Browns. Next on our list, we have Doug Peterson. Now, I know it has a 2 next to his name. None of these are in particular order. He just happens to be the second coach on the list I did. The Jags are currently 1-5, and I feel like I just don't know why this team regressed so much from last year. Now, I know they didn't make playoffs, but I still think they should be doing a lot better than they are doing currently. 178 points allowed on the year by the defense. That is the 31st ranked defense in the NFL. 112 points scored. That is the 20th ranked offense in the league. Yards allowed per game, 390. That's 31st in the league. O-line ranking 18th. Coming off a major loss to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Williams throwing for 4 touchdowns. This team is an absolute shambles, from the offense to the defense, from the running back room to the quarterback to the wide receivers. I said when they lost Calvin Ridley and they went and got Gabe Davis, they are doing nothing on this team but loading it up with a bunch of wide receiver twos. Now, I think Brian Thomas is definitely, absolutely going to be a wide receiver 1 in the league. I think he has a lot of potential. I feel like this team is in a spot where they can be good enough to compete. They need maybe a few more pieces, but I think you have to make a head coach change. I think you have to go in. I think you have to freshen it up. I do not think Doug Peterson is the answer for this team. I think you can bring in someone better, someone, I can't even put a name on it, honestly. I just feel like there's someone better out there. Trevor Lawrence looks like he has regressed terribly. I don't know what is happening, but it looks like he has taken a step back as a quarterback. The run game has taken a step back. Just everything about this team is stale compared to what it was last year. Number 3 on our head coach hot seat list, a lot of y'all are going to be familiar with him, Mike McCarthy. Now, the record isn't awful, right? 3-3. I feel like they've beat up on some cans. They face a real team in the Lions and get absolutely mauled, blown out. What, 47-9, $60 million quarterback. They kick 3 field goals. 126 points scored. That's 17th in the NFL. That is absolutely awful for this team. For a team that was all in, by the way. A team that was all in and didn't go address anything. 168th in points allowed. That is a bottom 3 team in the NFL. Now, I get it. The defense is absolutely decimated. You lost your both your starting DNs. You have your backup DNs hurt. You have linebackers hurt. Cornerbacks are out. Really upsetting for the defense. But what I cannot get past is how lackluster and awful this Cowboys offense looks. Look, I'm going to give you an example, okay? Yesterday against the Lions, box is stacked. Cowboys on offense. They run a fake sweep. They don't hand it off to the sweep. They instead run a halfback dive, the sweep obviously being a decoy, straight up the middle against a stacked box. One, why is there not an audible out of that? Why are we not audibling out of that play? I don't know what is happening in the Cowboys locker room. People have been calling for Mike McCarthy for what, 2 years now? It's conservative play calling in a non-conservative league now. You have to make a change. I said last year, this team was in prime position to go win a Super Bowl, and they went and fumbled that opportunity. Their offense looked hot. Their defense looked hot. Even with losing Trayvon Diggs, they still looked solid. This team has a absolutely insane fall off from what it was last year. I don't think they win 10 games. I think they win under 10 games. I think Mike McCarthy should probably be fired after that performance he just put on this week. Absolutely sickening. Probably if I was going to rank these guys, I would probably fire McCarthy first, but I just don't think Jerry Jones is going to have what it takes to do that. We're going to stay in division for the fourth head coach on our list. We have Nick Sirianni. Now, I heard something yesterday that absolutely blew my mind. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it was in this press conference or the press conference before, and he was calling out the fans. Nick Sirianni's downfall has to be studied. From a Super Bowl run to the last 2 years have been some of the most average, stale football I have ever watched. They are allowing 106 points, or they have scored 106 points on the year. That is 27th in the NFL. Yes, I get they've had a bye week, but that is still terrible. 96 points allowed. So the defense isn't terrible. The defense is 11th in the league. Yards allowed average 20th, kind of at the bottom. But I mean, they're still not allowing points. They have the number 2 ranked offensive line. I've been going after Jalen Hurts for weeks, right? Jalen Hurts has to quit turning the ball over for them to go out there and thrive. But at this point, I mean, is it a Nick Sirianni problem? You hear things coming out of the locker room like him and Jalen Hurts don't get along. They have to have a mediator when they talk. There has to be someone else in the room, this and that. Now, I mean, so let's look at 106 points scored, 27th in the NFL. You have by far a top 3 running back in the league. You have the number 2 O-line. Your wide receiver room is stacked. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are a top 5 wide receiver core. Your defense is good. You should not be losing close games, and you should be honestly blowing teams out. I'm going to be for real. These close games are making no sense. Now, do they get rid of Nick Sirianni mid-season? I don't know if that happens. I think we all know how Eagles fans are, right? They are quick to move on from coaches, and they're quick to move on from quarterbacks. That's just an Eagles thing to do. Now, is Sirianni going to get canned? I don't know. I'm going to leave that for y'all to decide. Y'all let me know if Sirianni gets canned down in the comments. Do you want to see Sirianni get canned if you're an Eagles fan, or do you think it is a different problem amongst the team? And last but not least on our list, a little dark horse right here, but if you made it this far in the video, make sure you drop a like, drop a follow, drop a sub, drop a comment, drop something. We have Mike McDaniel. Now, I know he is in a pretty bad position right now. Your team is absolutely riddled with injuries, and one mainly being your quarterback position. Mike McDaniel's 60 points scored on the year. Now, this is why I think he could be expendable at this point. You still have a super explosive offense. You got the run game. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Odell is on the Dolphins, right? I can't keep up with what team he's on anymore. I just can't. You have a super explosive offense that you can work with, right? Your defense, points allowed, 12th in the NFL. That's not terrible. Yards allowed, 285 per game. That's 5th in the NFL. Not a bad showing from the defense. The offense has to pick it up. I get you're working on a 3rd string quarterback. You're working with a 2nd string quarterback. Your franchise guy you just paid isn't in. But 60 points, and you're really not playing no one. You're playing the Titans. Can't really remember who they played this week. Or were they on bye this week? The week before that, I think, was the tie. I mean, you're just not putting points on the board, and I get it. Backup quarterback, things happen in the NFL. There you got guys with rookie quarterbacks. You got guys with backup quarterbacks. The Raiders, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. You got guys with, I mean, just in, I believe, similar situations that are producing more than 60 points a game. So that's personally why I think Mike McDaniel could be on the hot seat. But those are my top 5 head coaches on the hot seat in the NFL. To give you all a little rundown one more time: Kevin Stefanski, Doug Peterson, Mike McCarthy, Nick Sirianni, and Mike McDaniel. Let me know who your number 1 coach on your hot seat is down in the comments. Don't forget, like and follow.